Okay, and we're live. We are going to be talking about San Diego and all the amazing things around it. Today I have Simi with me, and thank you so much for joining. We're going to jump right in.
Sure.
So let's talk about where you serve and then a little bit more about the nuances that we kind of talked about before we went live.
Okay. I am here in San Diego, California. And as you know, San Diego is a pretty large city. There's lots of pockets of communities within San Diego and little neighborhoods and nooks and crannies. So I can tell you about a lot of those places because I've been here for most of my life.
Awesome. And you said that you specifically are in a very, very small, different area, but what areas as a whole do you serve?
So I serve mostly San Diego County. A lot of people will go into pocket neighborhoods like Poway for, let's say, for example, the amenities that are in that area, schools, etc. I have clients that like to be closely located to military bases. My husband's active duty military. So within a commute of the larger bases here in San Diego. Personally, I live in Coronado, California, where there's a large Navy base here as well. And Coronado in itself is just like a whole other animal. It's an island and an island.
Yeah, it's quite literally an
Yeah,
island.
exactly.
And what is it like living in Coronado? Because I'm actually going there this week.
Oh,
We
yay.
Every time we go to San Diego, we love to take the ferry over to Coronado. It's a beautiful place, but I don't know anything about living there. So give us a little bit more insight on that.
Yeah, I mean, especially in 2022, it's so like hard to find what people feel is like a very small, safe neighborhood. Living here for my kids is a little bit Mayberry-ish. They get to ride their bikes. There's lots of events. Like an example of that on Friday, the community center put together a whole celebration for Halloween where they did arts and crafts, they had community education, they had candy. And so it's kind of a place where people gather. It's at Spreckles Park. So they have concerts in the park. There's waterfront shops, there's high end things. So, it's the beach, the coastal community, the kayaking, paddleboarding. It's all kind of a very easy living, I would say, for example, because you don't have to leave the island to get everything that you need.
Got it. That's amazing because when you do think of being on an island, you feel like you might be a little removed from the rest of the world. So that's a pro and a con, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
that's
mean,
nice that everything's there though.
people drive golf carts because it's easier to park the golf carts than it is to park a vehicle. And so you are not allowed to drive the golf cart over the bridge into the city, but you can definitely ride it around town here. And so you'll see quite a few golf carts when you come to Coronado this week.
I love it. That's awesome. Can I rent a golf cart? Is that a
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. They have,
I was
well, e-bikes are probably a little bit easier because
oh,
I personally, like, if I park and then I have a golf cart in front of me and a golf cart behind me, and my sensors don't pick up their little bumpers or fenders, then it's like, ding, 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 ding. So I would
yeah.
say get an e-bike. It's much easier to lock and leave it and walk around.
Oh, that's a good point. And what I love about San Diego downtown and Coronado is that there's a lot of public transportation. So
Yeah.
this could be different now. I haven't been there since COVID, but previously there was like a trolley system that you could
Yeah.
hop on, hop off, which I thought was so cool.
So they have tourist trolleys where they're old school kind of trolleys and you can hop in, hop off and go see all the things. But then they have a trolley system, like a transit rail that they've actually extended. So now it goes from, let's say, the far part, East County, all the way in towards UCSD, my alma mater. So I think it's really cool. It's easier to get around.
Awesome. Okay. And then who is moving there? So I know that we see, or I do at least being in the Bay Area in California, I actually have a significant amount of people that move down to San Diego area, specifically people that are retiring, that want to downsize. Maybe they have a vacation rental that they've just decided that's going to be their new home. So is that really correlating with what you're seeing as far as clients coming in?
Yeah, Christa, you nailed it because honestly, that's who is migrating here. I think when Facebook specifically and a lot of the tech companies decided to allow their employees to do full-time remote work, I have actually a couple that wanted to come here, and they're like, we just want to be in San Diego. We lived here before we had kids, and then we started migrating towards the Bay Area for our jobs, and now we want to come back. And then navigating where to live was kind of an interesting aspect of their search because, like I said, San Diego has the hub and then they have all these little pocket communities. And so we were able to explore that. And I think having someone like me that has the opportunity to have lived in a lot of these different neighborhoods from having lived in San Diego most of my life, but then also being able to share the pros and cons of, let's say, commute times or community amenities, that's been sort of the driving force of people relocating to this area. And then also just for jobs, I have someone that was recently promoted to a position in a biotech company. And the flip side of that, they said, instead of doing the remote work, we want you to be in the lab because we want you to have FaceTime with people that you'll be working with. And so that's kind of the people that are migrating to and from San Diego.
And do you get a lot of people from out of state as well? Or do you feel like it's mainly interstate moves for the most part?
Well, I would say because of the military aspect of it, yes, we definitely have people that are coming from other hubs like Newport, Rhode Island, which I'm also licensed there, or Washington, D.C., and other places where they have to live here for, let's say, 3 to 5 years. And we all can do the math. It doesn't make sense to rent. So they'll find a community that's commutable to their base and then buy.
That's amazing. And typically, I know the military lifestyle is so completely different, right? So
Yeah.
are people purchasing homes for, shorter periods of time compared to maybe just a family that's moving there for a different type of position? What are you seeing?
I say that I've seen a lot of trending towards buying as a military family, and the reason is because there's just a huge shortage of housing, whether it's a military type of installation where people can live on post or out in town. I mean, they're getting priced out of rentals. So it's like, are you going to pay yourself or are you going to pay somebody else? And so when we run the numbers and do the math, especially with a VA loan benefit, it certainly does give people sort of the pause to purchase this. And as we see values increasing over time, if they keep it as a rental and add to their portfolio, it's kind of a no brainer.
Yeah, that's great. And that's such an amazing opportunity. And I feel like, correct me again if I'm wrong, but at least in my area, VA buyers are getting more and more opportunity and chance now in this market, which is incredible,
Yeah.
especially because VAs can typically, with that loan product, you can put zero down, right? So it just creates so much more opportunity for the, I don't even want to say unconventional style loan, but the underdog of the loan style, right? Where,
Yeah.
it kind of gets the misconception of, oh, VA is kind of the bottom of the pile because they're not putting as much money down. It's like, no, I have clients that have used the VA loan just so they could put in less money down and they could invest in something else at the same time or whatever it may be. It just
Mhm.
creates more opportunity.
Yeah.
And do you feel like that there?
Yeah, the 2020, 2021 market with VA buyers, it was really, really tough because we would have to kind of come in with cash on hand and, all these different sort of scenarios, especially with people that were doing the waivers on the appraisals. And so I would say that it wasn't unforeseen that a VA buyer could get their foot in the door, but now it's like their rates are much more competitive in comparison to conventional loan types. And then in tandem with that, they're serious buyers. They can't be homeless. They have to get to the finish line. And so expressing that to, let's say, a listing agent really can have the tide turn in their favor right now. And so if they were priced out or not having their loans accepted because of the type, we are now in it to win it.
Yay. Yay.
Yeah, I
Just
know. It's like
I'm
it's so
happy.
it's just like happy news, and then it's happy news because we get so much bad news, like, this is great.
I know. I know. I couldn't agree more. And so basically I know you kind of started talking about this, but I really want to dive deeper into the San Diego concept because really And I didn't look at the exact population numbers, but it feels like San Diego County is almost like the entire Bay Area for us up
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
Like San Diego, people think San Diego and refer to things as San Diego because they don't know the little La Jolla, Encinitas type areas. And if you said that, no one would have any idea what you're talking about. So,
Right.
how big is San Diego as a whole? And when I say San Diego, I guess I mean San Diego County.
Yeah.
And where are you seeing people move in? Let's use first time home buyers as an example. So, where are
Mhm.
you seeing the most first time home buyer opportunities right now in your market?
Yeah. Well, San Diego's huge. I mean, it's the size of another state. It outsizes a lot of small states. And so I see that a lot of first time home buyers are really directing themselves towards more affordable communities. And an example of that would be in certain zip codes of Chula Vista. Even that area has 4 different zip codes at least. And so in Otay Ranch area, you'll find that you can buy a single family home that's 2,500 square feet plus. You have all the community amenities, everything you need, the Costco, the Target, all of that. And so they're able to really afford a mortgage that's not going to be astronomical. Other pockets are places like Santee, California. That's another pocket of San Diego and the outskirts. But again, commutable. You can get to a lot of different places. They're building new homes there. And so you will find that they're a little bit more affordable. Otherwise, I think that a lot of driving forces are really where industry lies, and that could be either downtown or let's say the Poway area, Carmel Valley area. You see a ton of like Google and biotech companies, and now Apple bought a large complex. So you're seeing a big migration, I think, especially from where you're coming from down to San Diego for these particular reasons.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why we're talking today.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
and, do you see mostly are people moving there for the first time home buyers concept, or is it a lot of secondary homes? What are you seeing right now?
I see a mix. I would say that the folks that are leaving San Diego are going for opportunities, let's say from wherever they were raised, and they came here for, let's say, their job. I had clients that are recently relocated to Manchester by the Sea outside of Boston, and it was for that purpose of like, hey, we're what we would like to buy here in San Diego is kind of out of our price point, so we can get what we want if we go to the East Coast where our family is. So the pros and cons, like they didn't hate living here. They love living here. They just couldn't really continue to live here and then have the lifestyle that they wanted. And so I feel like I do see a lot of second home buyers where they, let's say, for example, want to buy something where they can, couch themselves for a vacation, similar to what you're doing, and have a little piece of the pie here. And I would say the first time home buyers right now are not as um, invested in staying because they just don't know if the affordability is going to exist over time. So, what we as agents educate customers on is really the affordability factor, whether or not interest rates are at 7% or like, let's say 1980 where they were 18%, it's really what the affordability factor is for our clients. And so if it makes sense for them, it's time and place, right?
Yeah, 100%. And what is the market looking like where you are? So let's specifically talk about Coronado because that is your direct area. And then
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit more about the surrounding areas. So I know Coronado is a very specific market.
Yeah.
And I ask this because I want to share something as well. But let's start with Coronado and then we'll
Okay.
dive into the rest.
So Coronado inventory is typically low. The average price point is $2,400 per square foot. Um, and, there is a lot of little listings that will pop up and then pop off like within a few days. And
Even
so
now, even
even
now.
now, I would say if they're, sub $2 million, they're really quick fire sales. If they're above that, I was able to tour a $32 million listing a couple of months ago, and, it's a very niche property, it's unique, it's still sitting on the market, and I think, obviously, that buyer, when you find the one, is going to be the one. So, yeah, I mean, the market here does move quickly when it's priced and positioned perfectly, and we all know that that's kind of the secret sauce to selling things anyway.
You mean we have to work to get homes sold?
Yeah,
What
a
is
little bit.
that? Yeah, and I mean, I think that it's probably pretty similar. So in the Bay Area right now, I call it entry level luxury. So entry level luxury homes are still selling very quickly because they're not affected as drastically by what's happening in the market.
Yeah.
They're not as concerned about the market and they're not as affected by interest rates. So they have a little bit more cash to play with and they can see the long term gain. Whereas below our luxury price points, that's where people are very sensitive to volatility and interest rates and everything else, right? So, sounds similar to where you are. It's just such an interesting thing because if homes in our market over 2 million is typically starting to get into that entry level luxury. And if there's a home that comes on and it's gone within 7 days. I
Yeah.
mean, multiple offers, the whole thing still. And people
Still.
are like, hold on, I thought the market slowed down. It's like, well, it did in some sectors, but not all. So, what about other parts of San Diego that you serve? What are you seeing in the market on that?
Well, absolutely, you're kind of right on target. If you are in a coastal community, let's say La Jolla, Del Mar, Encinitas, Cardiff by the Sea, Solana Beach, you're positioning yourself for buyers that are typically not contending with interest rates and some of the other factors that are coming along. So you are getting a lot more cash buyers in those types of communities. In other places that are kind of on the outskirts, what I'm seeing is that, again, depending upon the listing agent and the seller's opportunity cost, they're going to list it as what they could have listed it for maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And you're seeing days on the market, you're seeing price reductions. And, what I do tell a lot of the buyers is that don't wait for the price reduction. Go in with the intent of giving them the best offer you can give them, because rather than them having to sort of do that price reduction and then maybe have two offers, you're going to position yourself to be in a better place. So that's what we're seeing in areas that you're seeing a lot more finance deals. You are seeing that they're staying on the market a little bit longer.
Okay. Yeah. Very, very similar. And then are you starting to see more allowance for contingent offers, for example? So if someone was selling in another market and wants to buy down in San Diego, is that becoming a little more commonplace?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen it on both sides, listing and buying. We were seeing a lot more contingent offers. And, some of the contingencies are, tricky. And so it takes a little bit of savvy and it takes the right agent to be able to navigate that to get, both parties to a really smooth closing.
Yeah, it's that domino effect too. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
just keep going straight. Yeah, absolutely. And what would your advice be for anyone thinking about relocating there? What would you suggest that they do as first steps? So if I was just calling you and said, "Hey, I live in San Jose. I want to buy a home in San Diego County. What should I do first?" What would your recommendation be for someone that's never been there?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is surrounded around lifestyle and sort of what you like to do
Yeah.
and where you anticipate your places and spaces to go. Like an example of that, actually, I have a friend that referred me a client who's actually in San Jose, and he is looking for space. He doesn't want to be in the city. He likes being a little bit more remote, and so we're looking at places like Alpine, Ramona, Spring Valley, still a little bit commutable to get to where his friends might want to meet up, but not necessarily in a space where it's so like just a lot of clusters of layers of communities. So that would be really kind of how we do it. The other thing I love to do is I love to give buyers a zip code map. And so we can see all the coastal areas, and then we really draw a radius around where they want to be. And then based on that, I can share with them price points in these various markets. We look at their budget. We kind of reverse engineer where they want their, final payments to be at. And then we then zone in on the areas, because a lot of that is they're tied together. And so if there is the wish list of the type of home they want, wish list of the type of lifestyle they want, and then the budget, we can really formulate, a good list of zip codes and areas to focus on.
I love that so much. And I love the zip code map. I might steal that from you.
Oh my gosh. It's like,
So
I mean, it's a little overwhelming, but it is clutch because then we can really narrow it in on the MLS. We can look at things, we can refine things, we can, remove different types of options, and it's a really great tool.
I love that. I like I said, I'm stealing that.
Take
It's
it.
happening.
Take it.
And then, okay, so of course, I always have to wrap it up with food.
Yes.
And I have to ask you a very specific food question because, well, I love tacos.
Oh my
And
god.
I have to ask you, okay, hands down, best tacos you can get in San Diego. Where is it?
Ugh,
Oh, I
the
know
taco
it's a hard
stand.
question.
The
What is
taco
it?
stand. The taco stand, there's a couple of them. I believe there's one in Encinitas, there's one in La Jolla, taco stand. I mean, some of my friends, they're really big on, places like Puesto where they have, like, filet mignon tacos. That's, like, not my
That's
jam. I really
bougie,
like Yeah, it's bougie, like, $20 for a small taco, no, but, like, just to get some really nice, like, home-cooked tortillas and that, I
authentic.
mean, yeah, I mean, that's kind of they don't have a I would say that outside of San Diego, or I'm sorry, outside of Coronado, there's a pocket community called Barrio Logan, and Barrio Logan has, some of the best Mexican types of places where you can go. Um, Los Cuatros Milpas is a place where people stand in line to get tamales. And then I read recently, and I haven't been in Imperial Beach, which is just further past Coronado. There's Fernandez's taco stand, and people wait in line for the birria tacos. So try
Oh,
it when you come.
oh my gosh, that's amazing. And, I'm a little spoiled because we have really good tacos in our market as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And I'm a sucker. I have a sticker on the back of my car about tacos. I mean, it's a whole thing. So, what else? So, let's pretend I'm a young professional. I'm coming to San Diego. I want to buy my first home. What would be the area that I would want to go to experience the lifestyle there and maybe buy a first time kind of house?
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that because I think if you're young and working, let's say downtown, and you want to live downtown, I mean, downtown is awesome. There are a lot of high rise luxury condos that you can buy, and everything is walking distance. So you can get, or public transit, like we talked about earlier. So that's like a really great place to explore. Bankers Hill, which is another area where you can maybe get not the high rise type of experience, but really cool, trendy places to stop in and pop into. Um, North Park, South Park. These are all communities that have just like that walkability and that vibe that I think as a young professional you might be looking for and meet other young professionals.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you so, so much, Simi. And last question, if someone is looking for you, how do they find you?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Simi Rush. You can call me. My cell number is 609-741-1782. Email me, simi at myyrealty.com. And I'm super accessible. I'm happy to answer any questions, no obligation, because I know this market is really unwieldy, but also San Diego, like I said, has so many different opportunities. And so I'm happy to answer any questions about the opportunity that exists here.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I'll also tag you on the YouTube.
Okay.
So everything will be there as well. For those of you that are watching this, if you're thinking about moving to San Diego or really anywhere else, definitely get in touch with me. My contact info is below as well. And don't forget to subscribe to get more info. Thank you so much. Enjoy your
Yeah.
day.
You too. Thank you.